You've been asking quite a lot of questions in the comments lately, which is really amazing. So thank you so much for all the feedback and please keep it coming. I do my best to reply to as many as possible, but sometimes it's just too much to answer everything. And I'm not only speaking from YouTube, but also Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, emails, and so on. So if you ever see a question under one of my videos from someone and you know the answer, please go ahead and help each other out. We're all learning from each other's experience and that's actually super cool. I'm really glad and feel privileged to have such an educated community. So yeah, thanks to all of you for being here and being part of this and being nice to each other. Now let's start the actual video. I want to talk about sweep picking. In this video, I'll show you some of the things I learned about it so you don't have to spend years going through trial and error, because I've seen how frustrating that can be. The first thing I want to talk about is the timing. And I see this all the time. So many people struggle with it. So there are two things you need to train for it. First, you need to train your ears for all the different note grids. Otherwise, you will never be able to hear if you're playing 16th notes or 8th note triplets or something in between. If you can't get that with your ears, then it's almost impossible to sweep pick in time. You really need that feedback for yourself in order to make corrections, because you simply won't hear what's wrong. And the second thing is the feeling for the grid. That's why I recommend people to work on their general picking first. If you want to get more into that, I've made a few lessons and workouts and also will continue posting more about it. So just subscribe to this channel for getting all of these lessons for free. It is necessary to be able to feel the rhythm. For example, how does 16th notes at tempo 120 BPM feel like? Now for alternate picking you can learn that pretty quickly, but for sweep picking it takes a little more focus because it's a different movement. So here's a great exercise to practice that. There are three things to keep in mind for this. The note spacing between the notes, which should be completely even, the first and the last note. Those should be right on the click. Once you get that, just push the tempo a little higher. Do the same thing with quintuplets. And sextuplets. The second aspect I want to talk about is the synchronization of both hands. Sometimes one hand moves a little faster than the other, and that's completely normal if you have never practiced this individually. When you start working on it, I highly recommend practicing at very slow tempos first, as everything else as well. The movement I'm talking about is the exact moment when the pick hits the string and your fretting hand presses down to play the note. We want both things to happen at the same time. So isolate that motion by putting your finger on the fret and do the downstroke simultaneously. The rest in between the notes will help you focus what you're actually practicing, because it's very easy to get lost and just start noodling around. And as a guitarist, I know exactly what it feels like ending up playing an exercise without really paying attention to what it's originally about. Then practice the same with an upstroke and make sure your right and left hands are moving independently but landing perfectly together on each note. The third aspect is the note transition between the notes. Don't let the notes ring into each other, at least not if you want to sweep pick. Don't mix it up with other techniques like let ring or a rake. Those are all great techniques and I use them all the time, but now we just want to focus on the correct execution of sweep picking, which means one note rings only after the previous one stops. So what happens at the same time is you pick the note and lift the finger from the previous note exactly at the same time. Then you repeat the same process with the next finger. Pick and move your fretting fingers at the same time. So for this exercise, really focus on releasing the fret you just played right when you pick the next note. Here's a short exercise to practice that. We'll play the exact same notes as in exercise number 2, but focus on a completely different aspect. The fourth aspect is muting. With my fretting hand, it's usually not possible to mute the high strings effectively. That's why I recommend considering a fret wrap. That's one of these. Some people call this cheating, but I don't really see it that way. In my opinion, it's an amazing tool for all kinds of playing situations. But let me know in the comments if you have another opinion on this. There are still a few things we can and we should practice. One approach is to keep your finger on the string even after you've played the note, just without pressing it down. So for example, you hit the note and the finger from the previous note stays there touching the string to mute it. Keep it there as long as possible until you need to move it to reach the next notes. And then just repeat the same process again. Don't rely on the palm of your picking hand for muting only. Your fretting hand should do most of the work by releasing the pressure immediately after each note rings. Because in general, my picking hand only mutes the lower strings, which is great for ascending sweeps, but pretty useless for descending sweeps. So here's an exercise to practice that type of fretting hand muting. You can use it with any sweep shape you want, but I'll just use the same A major triad we've used in this video before. And as I said, the lower strings are additionally muted with my picking hand. The more muting options you have, the better. Now don't mix this up with palm muting, because palm muting changes the tone and feel of the note itself. When I talk about muting here, I'm referring to stopping unwanted string noise. If you want to practice palm muting specifically, try this exercise. And the last tip I want to give you in this video for getting better at sweep picking is very general, but probably the most powerful one. You need feedback. You have to know what's wrong in order to fix it. So one way to get this is by simply recording yourself and analyzing your own playing. If you feel like you've hit a wall, it might just be the time to go to a teacher and get some other perspective on your playing. That could be a local teacher, there's usually one in every town, or even online. We live in such crazy times where you can just reach out directly to your favorite guitar player through email or social media. So that's very easy to do. And if you like my approach, check out my Patreon page. I've been helping a lot of people recently by giving them personalized feedback on videos, personalized exercises and practice plans designed for exactly what they need right now. You can even book individual private lessons if you want, but those are pretty limited. So you have to check if there are some slots available. The link is in the description. And if you have any questions about it, just let me know. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.